Welcome to the Dr. John Char Holistic Health Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the truth in nutrition and greater health. And we have a special guest today, Dr. Marshall. Tell me about yourself.
Thank you very much for having me here, Dr. Char. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I've been doing it for 30 plus years. I started out just as a nutritionist. Was very happy to do that. Actually, before that, I was in industry, manufacturing food, and got sick, and no one could get me well, and I got into nutrition, and then wanted to pay back the other people who were kind enough to write information that made it possible for me to get well. So I developed a nutrition, health, and activity profile. The profile was in use by thousands of doctors across the nation, but they would consistently ask me, I've got this difficult patient, could you see them? Mm-hmm. So I began seeing patients in a computer room, in a computer center, a little counseling room, which was about 60 degrees, and we'd have to give them a coat, and it started a practice, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And finally, a medical doctor joined me, and then a chiropractor and an acupuncturist. And we had the largest chronic illness clinic in the Southern California area for many years. And then I had the privilege of getting sick with genetically modified tryptophan. Mm. And this was really a kick in the pants. I went to 150 pounds. I went Snow White. At that time, I was a marathon runner, and within 4 years, I couldn't walk 10 minutes. It devastated me. And I won a settlement against the company who made the genetically modified tryptophan, which was actually not in accord with the laws of the United States for entry into this country. I took that settlement and began to manufacture food supplements because I was told that I would die for sure. 128 people got eosinophilia, myalgia syndrome, and of those 128 that went in the lungs, I'm told by the lawyer I'm the only survivor. So what you're going to learn about today is what saved me. And that's why I have a passion for this. And even though I don't need to work, I feel like a lightning bolt would traverse the earth horizontally to find me if I didn't, because I've been privileged to know many wonderful things that hopefully some of which we can share today.
Oh, thank you. You know, there are many people who claim they're experts in nutrition. There's a lot of theories, there's a lot of diets, and each expert claims that they're an expert. There's a doctor here that said he can get most of all your diseases cured in 10 days by nutrition and exercise. What do you think about that?
Having been in this field 35 plus years, I would say it's unlikely and not logical, but it's certainly something that should be evaluated by someone other than him so that the technology could spread across the country if it's that powerful. One thing that's always worried me is when someone has a technique or a technology or a supplement, and they're the only one who can make it and the only one who can test it. This is like taking your light and putting it under a rock, okay? He can get a patent. He can do whatever he needs to do so that everyone could enjoy whatever it is that he has learned. But in doing this so many years and in examining the diet of the United States, which has been perfectly anachronized, SAD. You just need a couple of varies in front of it, and we've got the American diet. Woefully mineral deficient. We have persistently been using organophosphates, organochlorides, pesticides, to the point where what we do grow looks good, but it's pathetic. A good example is the USDA tells us that if you wanted the vitamin A of a peach of 1950, today you would have to eat 53 peaches. So the food has gone down so precipitously. We also have several studies that show there's been a 50% decline in the antioxidant content of American food in the last 25 years. So if this doctor can do it with this pathetic excuse for food, I would be stunned. We need to do something to get the food base up, But in the interim, supplements are a very key way of getting past this. And I'd like to show a little bit. You're into energetics, and I'd like to just show a little bit about food a little later, okay?
Okay, sure. Nutrition that really works. What do you mean by that?
Well, now we get into it, okay? I brought with me this wonderful piece of fruit that was grown on the island here, and it is very well grown. Looks kind of ugly, but it tastes really good. And to my evaluation, this is as good as you can buy. And it has a field, just like you have a biofield. Every mammal on this planet is controlled by a plasma energy field. This was proven by Fritz Albert Popp back in the 70s. And nothing happens to that body until there's first been a change in the field. So now I can tap my hand on this table and see how many times I can tap it before my hand will become weak. I can do the same thing with this fruit. So I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now if this was a supermarket orange, I wouldn't have to tap it at all. It's already off. So when you eat it, you're going to become weak. This one is pretty good. As good as we can buy. I stress tap it 4 times, its field stays solid, okay? However, when I hit it the 5th time, it goes weak. So this food is a pathetic excuse for the food we had 100 years ago. 100 years ago, the United States was the most powerful nation, health-wise, in the civilized world. Less than 5% of America was chronically ill. In 2005, when the CDC stopped reporting the chronic illness level, we had 53% of America chronically ill. Please make no mistake, viewers, it's the food. It's the food. So when I hear a man saying he can get somebody well and they don't have to do anything else with just food and maybe a couple of supplements, with this food, this is the best food you can get your hands on? We're going to have to fix this food, and maybe I'll be back to visit you again when I have my Grow Friends ready. These are going to be boxes about the size of this table that are going to be filled with perfectly remediated soil and worm castings, and we'll have with it heirloom seeds. You'll put it, well, here, you could put it anywhere. But I'm used to the hostile America like Chicago, where the winter comes, and it's going to have to be inside. You water it once in 30 days, and its produce, when you stress tap it, it does not go off. And when you start eating food like that, you become outrageously strong. So when I'm talking about nutrition that really works, you're wondering when I'm going to get to it.
We will.
The supplements that we make, and our motto, nutrition that really works, means you can take any one of those supplements, and I should have grabbed one out of my bag there, and just show you. You can stress tap it 100, 200, 300, 400 times. The field of that once living compound is so strong, you cannot stress tap it off. So now when you begin to consume this, your cells go back to their ideal cell resonance. That's nutrition that really works.
Okay. Manufacturers hail their health products as non-toxic, organically grown, and toxic-free, no preservatives. What makes your company, your company is Premier
Research Labs.
Research Labs, okay. What makes your company so special?
Well, you know, when other people make these claims, I'd like to revisit each one with you. So let's go to organic.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I've studied organic very intensely, and I have a number of friends who are organic farmers. And everyone will tell you that the water is a critical player for organic. Yet it is not an issue when organic certification is given. So if I have an organically grown product from Bakersfield, and I know I'm not going to make friends here, which is irrigated with tap water, known affectionately by in Sacramento, by the legislators, this is not my term, this is their term, as agricultural urine, loaded with pesticides and other chemicals. And I grow this organic. And now you're going to compare that to commercial, I'd say there'll be very little difference, if any. But now if you would allow me to get organic from Fallbrook, California, where all the farms are on wells, or in northern San Diego County, which is where I'd always get my organic produce, now you have premier water, you have all the other things taken care of. Now you've got something that's outstanding and definitely better than the commercial product. But when they say organic in their product, what organic? The source is everything, okay? So we talked about organic, non-toxic. We're going to have to go on that a little bit. This is a pet peeve of mine, and I'll tell you why. For many years, the FDA allowed supplement manufacturers and drug manufacturers to not list all the chemical doodahs they put in the tablet or they put in the capsule, in particular talcum powder. Now, talcum powder in Europe is called a carcinogen. No argument. Our FDA calls it a suspect carcinogen, and they allow 1 to 2%, which is what's typically used to produce a capsule, believe it or not, because the high-speed encapsulator needs this vehicle or magnesium stearate to get the product in and run at full speed. Now, none of my encapsulators, high-speed encapsulators, can run at full speed because we don't use talcum powder, we don't use mag stearate, we don't use silicon dioxide. Now, these are all said to be perfectly safe and non-toxic. So when somebody says these things, we got to get into a little bit of a dance here. And, you know, very recently, magnesium stearate used to be a hydrogenated oil from an animal. Well, they found a way to get it from a vegetable. But when magnesium stearate and silicon dioxide get together, we have a delivery system to take silicon into the tissue. It's now suspect that this may trigger the same condition that silicone breast implant leaking conditions have triggered. But for sure, there is an immunosuppressive response, and these are all called non-toxic. Now, when we produce nutrition that really works, there is no mag stearate, there is no talcum powder, there is no silicon dioxide, there's no polyvinyl pyrrolidone, there's no carnauba wax, there's no junk. And why this becomes so important, in fact, many people get upset with me because they think it's a minor issue. What am I worried about? What's this big deal? The big deal is Fritz Popp's work showed if I have a nutrient your cell really wants, and in particular the mitochondria, the heart of the cell, like CoQ10, and it sees it and the cell goes, oh, I want to have that. I love that. Oh, but there's talcum powder there. Oh, but I need it so bad. Okay, I'll take it. So we first take this supplement and suddenly we feel so much better. It's really helped us. But 6, 8 months, a year later, we're having a new problem. And we don't think it's that supplement of CoQ10. We're looking for a new supplement now to fix our new problem. Instead of looking at the garbage that we put as toxic tag-alongs right along with the nutrient. Oh my God. And they're going to tell you it's non-toxic and they make the best. But even notwithstanding what I've just said, in winter '99, University of California at Irvine did a study of 196 herbal products from health food stores. And 5 out of the 196 were tested non-toxic or effective, notwithstanding what I just said. In other words, they would not consider those toxins. They're saying these guys didn't deliver the goods, okay? And any product of ours that's been tested anywhere has never been found to be toxic or ineffective. And many, many people, including the people at UC Irvine, tested our products, okay? So why is that? And I'd like to get into that in a minute, but I think that this is a pet peeve area of mine. I didn't even cover the fact that when you make a tablet, it has to be heated to about 130, 135. Now, if you've ever put your hand under hot water that hits 128, 129, even your great skin would be blistered. I'd be in pain, okay? That's what we put the nutrient supposedly in the tablet under, and it's supposed to be perfectly okay. And I love the other dance that goes on. It's a fast-acting tablet. So all these chemicals are going to dissolve real quickly in your stomach. Is this a joke? Why do they make a tablet? It's always the money. Follow the money, stupid. One tablet costs half the price to make a gelatin capsule. Now, when you take the gelatin capsule, it's like glue, if you've ever dissolved one, and I know you have. And when you take a whole handful of these, And now they dissolve in the stomach and they make like a mucosal barrier. So now the stuff may be trapped in this garbage for a while, and it may not absorb where it should. Okay, but why do we use a gelatin capsule? Because it's half the price of a vegetable capsule. Now the vegetable capsule, when it breaks up, is micro beadlets, so it's fiber. So it actually helps the movement of everything coming through the gut. It doesn't interfere with the uptake, and you have almost instant dissolution, so that if you're trying to get a digestive aid and you take your, say, pepsin early in the meal, it's now fully liberated, so that when HCl hits, we've got the catalyst so that we can fully digest that food. That's the dance.
Wow. So, you know, one of the biggest issues here in our economy is people saying, I got a good buy. I can go down to Long's, I can go down to Costco or Sam's and get just as good a supplement as yours. Okay. And so why should I
that
pay?
we can't agree with. But
Yeah.
you can buy something that says it has the same item.
Yes.
Yeah, and why should you? Because the long-term effect of taking these chemotoxins is even a concern to the FDA. In fact, FDA for several years warned the health food industry that the excipients they're using have never been approved for use to make a food supplement. They have just not stopped them from doing it. They're only approved for drugs. Now, I can see making a tablet for a drug if you're only going to take it for 2 weeks. No big deal. But if you're taking a multivitamin mineral in a tablet for the next 20 years, you're asking for a lot of trouble, because all these chemicals are going to be all over your body. And maybe the arthritis you have, or maybe the muscle stiffness, or maybe whatever's going on is from the bioaccumulation of these excipients that have been added to the tablet that are necessary to make a tablet.
You know, the question is, how does PRI, how do you make your formulas?
We are premier research labs,
Okay.
and we, the first thing that makes us really different is no raw material can enter unless it can withstand 100 stress taps or more. Can't come. The next thing we do is we fingerprint it. We have a device called high performance crystal spectroscopy, a very popular device in Europe. There are no drug companies in America or Europe without it, and many supplement companies are beginning to shift to this, because in 20 seconds you have a fingerprint of the product. You can see, is that identical to what I bought the last time? Is there a blip here that might suggest pesticide? Is there a blip over here that might suggest that we have heavy metal? Is there a pattern that might suggest too much moisture? The South Americans in the winter, when they're in trouble, which is our summer, like to not dry things real well so that they can get their weight back up. Everybody has the little game that they play. Their games are a little less toxic than the Chinese games, but they're still trying to sneak one by you, you know what I mean? So we have this fingerprinting. Then, of course, we do the microbiology screen, and the FDA now thinks that a food supplement needs to be tested before it leaves the plant, not just all the incoming raw materials, and it is possible that it could be contaminated in the plant process. However, it would sort of be like you buying a hamburger. You went down to the store, let's hope you bought something better. You got a nice chicken dinner, like lemon chicken, and you bought this, and the guy made it up for you, and then he said, gee, here it is, you paid for it, but I can't give it to you for 3 days till the microbiology is run to make sure this is okay for you to eat. That's where we are now. So there is little or no difference under good manufacturing processes between the production of a drug and the production of a food supplement now. So what really makes us stand out is every container, not a sample from the containers, are tested. Every container. Every container is tested energetically, and it's tested with high performance crystal spectroscopy. We have a super strong guy. He can pick up the bag in a drum, scan it 3 times, right through plastic, put it back, and even if we get 100, every single one is tested. To my knowledge, I don't know anyone in the industry that does this.
That's true.
And the reason we do it is that I take these supplements.
Oh,
And I
okay.
didn't make this company
Yeah.
just to make money. I made this company to try to survive after I was poisoned. And people like it so well, I've kept all these processes in place.
What is wrong with isolated vitamins?
Well, there's two things we want to keep in mind here. The spectacular work of Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, quantum physicist. He showed that the human body, as well as all mammals, are controlled by a dynamic plasma energy field. The interface is at your DNA. The communion between one cell and another is the shooting of a little bit of light called a biophoton. And this goes from one cell to the next, actually inside the plasma energy field at twice the speed of light. Einstein would have liked this. Now, if I take an isolated supplement, most of them have been manufactured from a non-living source. If that's true, there's no DNA. Now, when the cell goes to use this compound, it goes, uh-oh, uh-oh, but it may take it in. Like B1 in America, almost all the B1 is thiamine mononitrite, literally all of it, which has been produced from coal tar derivative resin, petroleum. Okay? Cell gets this thing, it'll take it, really doesn't want it. Over time, Pop has shown that when you're taking compounds into the cell that don't have DNA, there's no way for the DNA to restore its biophoton reserve. So now you may actually see a degradation of the DNA. That's number one. But some isolated supplements may actually be from a live source. Okay? Short term, those might be okay to use. But long term, you want to try to have the living matrix as it would occur in some kind of food. So for example, in minerals, the Sango marine coral seems to be one of the ultimate mineral matrices, okay? In B vitamins, yeast seems to be the example. It seems to be one of the ultimate perfect living matrices. So I think we have to take a picture from nature to make sure that the matrix that we're offering the cell has the combination lock for that cell. See, if we're just sending 50 milligrams of B6, the cell goes, okay, I'll take a little. But it's not going, oh, this is going to be wonderful. And I think one of the things that we've seen clinically is that when we have probiotics make B vitamins, and we offer these to the cell, tiny, tiny amounts bring the energy signature back perfectly. Whereas if I give 50, 100 milligrams of the synthetics, there's a funky smelling urine. There's often some complaint from the people, but there isn't a complete revivification. They don't feel really healthy and wonderful right away. But with these living source ones, there's a night and day change.
We only have a few minutes more. I'd like to have you give your thought of what you'd like to give to the audience.
I would say, if I can give you something, this life is designed for everyone to have their test, their challenge. And many of you may have your health challenge early in life, and you may really feel, woe is me. What I want to say to you is consider it a great opportunity. I feel the greatest one gives these tests so that you get a chance to appreciate the treasure you have. And when you appreciate that treasure, you're now going to pay real close attention to what you eat and what you do, and you can become the strongest and pretty much anything you want to be. And that's what I'm here for, is to give you that opportunity. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure having you over.
Thank
and
you.
we're going to have you on to the next show.
Thank
because
you.
you're going to show some really unique things about energetic medicine, right?
You bet.
And what is your technique you do?
Called quantum reflex analysis.
And you're giving a seminar on that? You
Yes.
give it all over the world, of course.
I do, yes. And we have a seminar for practitioners here this coming weekend of February 13th and 14th, I believe. And then we will have a talk about anti-aging, which I think is going to be very appropriate for this city, at Vim and Vigor the following Saturday, I believe, February 20th.
Oh, February 20th, you're going to be
20th.
here too?
Yes,
Oh, so you'll be here for about a couple of weeks.
I will.
All right. So this show goes on next month. So, but anyhow, somebody will say, "What happened to you?" So, but you can listen to your show. You have a syndicated program, right?
I do,
on
yes.
K108.
K108.
And you talk about, what do you talk about?
I take call-ins, and my goal is to try to give you a synopsis of what I've learned in the last 30 years of intensely studying this. And believe me, when you're faced with certain death, your level of studying becomes a far higher and more intense. I did nothing except this while I was trying to die for about 10 years. That's why I could take the time to learn Dr. Pop's work on quantum physics. That's why I had the time to go into making all these things, because if I don't, I die. So I just rearranged my life, and now it's kind of a wonderful thing to see thousands of other people get well. And just one simple thing, if you do one simple thing, whenever you eat cooked food, you give yourself digestive enzymes. That one simple thing will give you so much better quality of life. Right now, throughout America, the average male dies at 72, and it's a welcome visitor death. He's got a million things wrong with him. At 78, the average woman dies. Now, she's cut her food portions down, so she gets another 6 years, but she's miserable when she dies too. I'm here to tell you, if at around 35 or 40 you begin digestive enzymes, when 72 and 78 comes, you're going to look pretty much like you did at 50.
Wow, fantastic. So, anyhow.
And feel.
Well,
more important.
You know, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And I thank you for the valuable information on how to be healthy.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you in the next show. And you'll be talking about 5 stages to greater health. And you're going to demonstrate again the QRA.
Yes.
So we're really, really excited that we're going to see you on the next show. So stay tuned.